Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to tonight's regularly scheduled meeting of the Freeport City Council. It's Monday, April 20th, 2026. The official time clock says 6:01. I will declare we do have a quorum present, so we'll officially call this meeting to order. At this time, I would like to ask Councilman Rosso if you will lead us both in the pledge and the prayer.
Let's pray. Lord, we thank you for another day, a day we've never seen. We ask you to bless this meeting, that the words of our mouth and the meditation of our heart be acceptable unto you. We thank you, Lord, for every councilman, city manager, our mayor, our lawyer. We thank you, Lord, for all those that's out there in cyber world that's watching this meeting. We ask you, Lord, to bless everyone under the sound of my voice. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, and you may be seated. It's kind of nice to see a full house on this dreary evening. Next on the agenda, we have matters subsequent to posting. Dr. Kelly.
No, sir, thank you.
We have none, so we will move on to citizens' comments. First on the list is Mr. Sam Reyna.
Mayor, Council, good evening. My name is Sam Reyna, and I reside in 2002 North Avenue G. These are some of the man's people's criminal records. He broke the law by writing hot checks and for harassment. February of 2024, I submitted a candidate's package to run for elected office, the mayor's position. Olson and Olson declared that because of my criminal record, I was not eligible to be a candidate for elected office. He cited a ruling by the Attorney General, Ken Paxton. If I was not eligible to run for elected office because of a criminal record, then neither should the Mon people. Harassment charges filed against him that should have been enough reason not to allow him to be a candidate. All these officers are here because Councilman Peña accuses Councilman Matamoros of harassment and possible assault. And yet we're allowing people who was arrested for harassment to have his name placed on the ballot. Mayor, you should advise legal to review people's package application. He might have committed perjury, lied about his criminal record. If so, his name should be removed from the ballot. On another subject, 5 years ago, the EDC formed a subcommittee to erect 2 light poles on the bank of the river on the 8-acre EDC property, and a deck from the bank to the pier. Jeff Peña was in charge of the subcommittee. There was never no oversight on how the money was spent. Jeff spent the money as he saw fit. These photos are the results of the job. There was no licensed electrician on the site and work being done without a permit. Center Point refused to turn the power on because it did not pass inspection. Deck planks were not long enough and screwed on in pieces using regular screws instead of 3-inch deck screws. Very dangerous for the citizens. Jeff hired Penny Electric to do the power on, and Center Point turned it off several times. The 25,000 was all used, and there's no invoices on labor and material. The invoices don't exist.
Mayor, it wasn't 25,000.
They just disappeared. But Peña should know, he was the treasurer of the EDC at the time. Peña uses the word transparency because it sounds good, but he doesn't know the meaning of it. He's putting the taxpayers on the hook. Dr. Kelly, thank you for displaying the flag at City Hall, celebrating the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence signing. Thank you. Citizens need to vigorously defend the founding documents, principles of equality, freedom, and liberty with conviction and courage against those motivated by greed, power, or un-American ideas. Because of greed and abuse of power, Freeport residents are losing faith and trust in its government body. Because so often, decisions are made based on the personal interest of some members of this council, especially Jeff Peña.
Thank you, Mr. Reyna. Council, I must remind you that during citizens' comments, we are not to comment. Next, we have Mr. Ron Bachman. You have signed up for 4A. Would you like to speak at that time or now? At that time. Mr. Andrew Dill, same story. Would you like to speak at that time, or would you like to speak now? At that time. Next, we have Mr. Rob Giesecke.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. I'm Rob Giesecke. I'm chairman of Port Freeport Commission, and I'm here tonight with our public affairs manager at Port Freeport, Amanda Valise. She's joined me tonight. Just here to invite y'all, members of the public, residents of Freeport, and everyone who can hear my voice to our Take a Child fishing tournament. That'll be Saturday, May 9th. There is an agenda item a little later, but I just want to make a general announcement now and invite folks to come out. This is for ages 3 through 14. We've got 2 age groups to compete in. Previous years, we've had about 400 participants, and we have about 200 door prizes this year, so you got a pretty good shot at walking away with the prize if you come out. And then we've got three prizes in each age group for the heaviest stringer. Bait will be provided. You do need to bring your own tackle, and entry fee is 2 canned goods. That'll be given to the Brazoria County Dream Center to help those who are in need here in our community. And we'll be available for if there are any questions on agenda item. I think it's 4B that's coming up. Starts at 8 o'clock, the registration. Again, that's Saturday, May 9th. We'll wrap up about noon on that date. So thank y'all.
Thank you, sir. Great event, and one of those that can only happen in Freeport. All right, moving on. Proclamations, presentations, and updates. 2A, employee recognitions. Dr. Kelly.
Yes, thank you. I would like to announce that Genesis Martinez, our interim Human Resources Director, is the Employee of the Month. Over the last 2 months, she has continued to display outstanding performance and dedication while serving in the temporary position of Interim Human Resources Director. Stepping into a role with significantly expanded responsibilities, she has ensured continuity of operations while maintaining the highest standard of efficiency and integrity. During this time, Genesis has consistently demonstrated exceptional leadership and professionalism. Her ability to quickly adapt to the increased scope of duties is a testament to her strong commitment to the team. Genesis has effectively helped with critical HR functions and maintained open communication. She has served as a steady and reliable resource for employees and city leaders, fostering a positive work environment and reinforcing trust across departments. Her willingness to step up shows her strong work ethic and her dedication to the city. She is truly performing the job of two people and does it every day with a smile and asks, "How can I help you?" Genesis exceeds the criteria and qualities we look for in our employees, and we appreciate her. Thank you.
Genesis, come on up. Officer Graham, can you move the podium, please? I'm sorry? I'm sorry? Let's give it to him. We should take a picture with all of us. Front row. Thanks. Nothing against our fine officers, but it's nice to see other employees of the city get recognized as well. Next, we have recognition of a finance department for Transparency Star Award in traditional finances. Dr. Kelly.
Thank you. The City of Freeport has been awarded the Transparency Star in Traditional Finances, a distinction granted by the Texas Comptroller of Public Accounts through its statewide Transparency Stars program. This recognition highlights the city's commitment to open government, fiscal accountability, and providing residents with clear, accessible, and meaningful financial information. The award specifically acknowledges the Finance Department's efforts to present financial data in a way that is not only publicly available, but understandable and usable by the community. The Transparency Stars program recognizes local governments that go beyond minimum reporting requirements by proactively sharing financial information through budgets, financial reports, summaries, visualizations, and downloadable data. The traditional finances designation reflects a high standard of transparency in core financial reporting, including the public availability of multi-year budgets, audited financial statements, and detailed expenditure data in user-friendly formats. So I'd like to thank Ashley Hurst and her team for getting this award.
Thank you, Ms. Hurst. Thank you, Dr. Kelly. Next, we have a presentation by Brooks and Watson, Brooks, Watson and Company on the audited financial report and auditor's opinion for the fiscal year ending in September 30th, 2025, followed by a consideration to receive and file. Mr. Brooks.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. My name is Mike Brooks, audit partner with Brooks, Watson and Company. Thank you. And I will be presenting you with your audited financial statements for the year ended September 30th of 2025. In front of you, you all should have a copy of the complete set of audited financials. It's a pretty large report, a lot of information in here. So for your benefit, I have prepared a short summary presentation. It's under the front cover. This presentation is going to go over some of the more important numbers and statements within the report. So after I go over that, I will open it up to questions. There we go. All right, first, I do want to thank Ashley and the team here. The audit is not a one-way street, so an audit cannot be completed unless the city is available, cooperative, and has good records to provide us. So when we come out for our audit, we are requesting a lot of information. We can't pull that ourselves. We can't go in there and accumulate that data. And sometimes if the data doesn't exist, we may not be able to get it. But the city does a really good job of maintaining accurate records, reliable records, and providing that to us, and the audit went very smoothly, so Ashley, we appreciate that. Okay? All right, first, I just want to briefly go over the audit process. The audit can be broken into 3 general phases. The first is the planning and risk assessment phase. So this is typically when we come out prior to year end, but this is often referred to as our interim audit. We are reviewing the city's internal controls over some of the major significant transaction classes and areas. In addition, we're putting together our preliminary audit plan. So we are asking questions, meeting with all the department heads, meeting with Ashley, trying to find out what's been going on this year. Any new debt, new activity, anything that's going to impact the extent of our audit procedures, or any area that has heightened risk. But ultimately, from that process, we do walk away with a preliminary audit plan, which is going to drive the extent of the procedures that we perform during the year-end field work. The next stage is the bulk of what we do. So this is what you're typically used to when we do come out and complete an audit. So this is after the year-end books have been closed for the year, so all your bank accounts have been reconciled, all of your accruals made, capital assets maintained, debt payments posted. But this is the final version that the city hands over to us for audit. From this, we are reviewing source documents for all the material assets, liabilities, revenues, and expenditures across all funds. So we are, any activity that does meet our materiality threshold is getting audited in some form or fashion. The next stage is the conclusion and reporting. So this is the wrap-up of any findings that we did have, the preparation of the audited financial statements, and then the presentation of the financial statements to City Council. Next, I just want to briefly go over the components of your annual financial report. First, we have the auditor's opinion. That's followed by the management's discussion and analysis. Then we have the basic financial statements, which include your government-wide, fund level, and notes to the financial statements. Then we have your required supplementary information, which includes your budget to actual comparison and your TMRS pension information. Next is what we consider to be the most important part of your audited financial statements. So in this thick report that you have in front of you, this is the only portion of that report that is not derived from city financial data and city policies. This is our auditor's opinion over these financial statements. This opinion can have 4 possible outcomes, the best being an unmodified audit opinion, and the worst being a disclaimed audit opinion. Happy to say that we were able to issue an unmodified, clean audit opinion over the city's financials. So that is the highest level of assurance that we can give that these financial statements are free of any material misstatement and all footnotes are disclosed. Next, I just want to point out several financial highlights. So for your governmental revenues is where we're going to start. Total M&O property taxes this year were just under $3.4 million. This was a decrease of about $40,000. This was due to the decrease in the M&O tax rate, which went from 0.4683 to 0.4504, while your values increased about 2%. Your INS property taxes totaled just under $530,000 and increased about $14,000. The tax rate had a slight decrease, 0.0647 last year to 0.0646 in the current year. But ideally, your INS property taxes should mirror your INS-backed debt payments. So in a perfect world, the increase in fund balance for your INS fund would effectively be 0, but that rarely happens. Next, your total sales taxes this year were $2.7 million. This was an increase of just under $100,000. And your industrial district revenues totaled $10.5 million and had an increase of about $1.1 million. Next, I just want to go over your general fund and some of the results related to your budget and fund balance. Starting with the budget, the general fund did have an overall positive budget variance this year of about $3.1 million. So what that means is the city budgeted for an increase, so an anticipated increase after all amendments of $697,000. So that's what you thought you would get if you met all your budgeted numbers. The actual increase in fund balance this year was about $3.8 million. So that you exceeded that, and the difference between those two are your overall positive budget variance. Primarily, that is related to revenues that came in over expected in your general fund. So you had an overall, you had a positive revenue variance of about $2.6 million. So you received that much more than you anticipated with your final budget. All right, next, do just want to point out the unassigned fund balance for your general fund. So cities do want to maintain an adequate unassigned fund balance reserve in case of emergencies. So the city has a policy to maintain that reserve at least 25% of your annual operating expenditures, or 90 days. As of the end of the year, the unassigned portion of the general fund balance totaled $12.1 million. This equated to about 65%, or 8 months of your annual operating expenditures for the general fund this year. So above policy, and certainly in a very healthy position. All right, next is the changes in net position for your proprietary funds. This includes your water and sewer fund. Now, these funds do differ from your governmental funds in that they are funded with rates instead of property taxes or other non-exchange revenues. These rates should be set at a level that do fund operations, debt service, and any capital improvements. So the numbers that we typically point out here are just the overall and operating income or loss. This year, the water and sewer fund had an operating loss of about $1.4 million. So I've spoke to the city about this, and it was identified this year the rates were not adjusted to keep up with expenditures, and that resulted in the operating loss here. So the city has, to my knowledge, updated rates and increased rates going into next year. So ideally, this activity would not be occurring next year as well. All right. Next, I just want to go over several financial or major capital outlay under financial highlights. So your improvements to the fire station totaled just over $200,000. The city had leased assets for the golf course, just over $400,000. You made sewer improvements, which totaled just under $1.2 million, and had lift station improvements of $370,000. You made improvements to the wastewater treatment plant, which totaled just under $9.6 million, and you had smart water meter additions of just under $3.2 million. Next is a summary of the changes in your net pension liability. So the city does participate in the TMRS pension system. And looking at last year, the city had a net pension liability of just under $6,100,000. This year, the liability went down about $400,000 to about $5.6 million. When looking at the funded percentage, so when you look at the assets that are held in investment versus the overall pension liability, that's normally a good indicator of the health of the pension system. So anything above 80% is considered a healthy pension, and that's normally means you're in good shape. Over the last 3 years, the city was at 86%, 84%, and 80%. You can also look at your contribution rates. So if you have large spikes in contribution rates or the city's matching contributions, you know the city is making an effort to catch up in the pension and fund it if it's underfunded. So, but overall, the rates were steady and the pension is in a healthy spot. All right, in addition to the financial statement audit, we are also required to audit the city's compliance with the Public Funds Investment Act. So has the city adopted a written investment policy? Has it designated investment officers which attend specific trainings? Or have those investment officers provided counsel with compliant investment reports, no less than quarterly? So we have reviewed the city's compliance with this act, and the city was in compliance with all requirements. All right. In addition to the financial statements, you do have 2 additional letters provided in your packet. One is our required auditor disclosure letter. Gives us an opportunity to discuss any issues we had with the completion of the audit. Provides you a list of the journal entries that we were required to make to bring these accounts into accordance with GAAP. And also discloses any new accounting standards that have been adopted. The city did adopt GASB 101 this year. That was a new accounting standard, which impacted the way that compensated absences and primarily sick leave would be recorded. It did result in a pretty significant increase in that balance, about $700,000, so it was pretty impactful. City is not alone. That impacted every city that doesn't already accrue for sick leave, but really the takeaway there is more Your sick leave, which was previously excluded from this liability, is more than likely included going forward. But like I said, overall, the audit went smoothly. There were several audit adjusting entries. That's not uncommon, and nothing we consider to be excessive. In addition, I have provided you with a letter of our findings and recommendations. We did have several that we noted this year. I won't go over those specifically, but if you had questions on any, I'd be happy to discuss.
Council, do you have any questions for Mr. Brooks? You know, I have one that I would just, I think I know the answer, but I would like to ask it just so it's on the record. When y'all come down and do the annual audit, do you go line for line for line throughout everything, or do you come in knowing that you're going to look at these certain areas?
We do not go line by line. It's not possible to recreate the entire year's accounting, go through every item. That's not an audit. We provide reasonable assurance over the financial statements that they're materially correct, not absolute assurance. So we do not go through every item. And so whenever we do conduct our audit procedures, we certainly have certain standard procedures that we're going to perform with every audit, which is going to capture a significant portion of the activity just based off their volume or dollar amount. And in addition to that, that risk assessment process that I talked about earlier is when we may identify certain areas which we're going to extend those procedures or do additional testing over, something new, something that's just unusual. So short answer is no. But we do perform testing over a wide amount of activity.
Thank you. I thought that's the answer you was going to give us. Council, any other questions for Mr. Brooks? I'm sorry? Unless you have any questions, yes, sir. Go ahead.
All right. Hey, first of all, I just want to thank you for coming in and taking the time to do the audit on the city of Freeport. Appreciate the work that you've done. Want to give a shout out to, the city of Freeport. If you look at the presentation that we had today, it looks like we're going on the right track. We are improving. Big shout out to Ashley. She's been a big part of, our success here. Dr. Kelly's here now. We have some experience here as city manager. I think anybody that had anything to do with that, Ashley, make sure, Ms. Kelly, make sure y'all give them their props. I think we have Employee of the Month here, was part of that team. And I just want to thank y'all personally for your integrity and transparency and helping, us build a better city here and manage our finances better. So just want to let y'all know y'all doing a great job. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Council, anyone else? Hearing.
Question.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Brooks, thanks for your presentation and for coming out here this evening. Quick question, are you also, is your firm being hired to audit the EDC?
We do.
You do?
Yeah.
And will you guys be presenting that to the council as well?
We were not engaged to present a separate report, so it is included in these financial statements. It's what's called this EDC is a component unit,
Yep.
and it's presented alongside some of the full accrual statements within the report you have here. So no, we won't be presenting a separate audit unless requested by the city, but at this point we haven't been requested.
All right, thank you, appreciate it.
Council, any other questions or comments? Hearing none, thank you, Mr. Brooks, for all you've done.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Council, I will make a motion to receive and file the audited financial report and auditor's opinion for the fiscal year ending September 30, 2025. And I'm asking for a second.
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilman Matamoros. Is there any discussion needed on this, gentlemen? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor state aye. Aye. All opposed state nay.
Nay.
Motion carries 4-1. Councilman Pena being the nay. Dr. Kelly, what do we got coming up?
We have Riverfest, April 24th and 25th, Glow Zumba, April 29th at the Rec Center at 8:30 a.m., and then we also have a senior excursion being sponsored by the Freeport EDC. It's to Rosenberg Railroad Museum, May 15th. It's first come, first served. It's limited seating, free to Freeport seniors.
Thank you, ma'am. Next, gentlemen, we have the consent agenda. On the consent agenda, there are 2 items. 3A, action regarding the minutes from the March 31st, 2026, and the April 6th, 2026 meetings. Then 3B, action approving the monthly financial report through March 31st, 2026. Council, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
We have a motion to approve by Councilman Matamoros. Is there a second?
Yeah, I'll second.
We're going to say Councilman Rosso got under there. Seconded by Councilman Rosso. Any questions or comments on the consent agenda? Hearing none, I will call the vote. All those in favor state aye. Aye. All opposed state nay.
Nay.
Motion carries 4-1. Councilman Pena being the nay. Moving on to 4A. We have 2 that have signed up to speak, so this is your time. Mr. Ron Bachman.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. I'm Ron Bachman. I live at 96 Dolphin Lane, and I'm a member of the EDC Board. And I encourage you to approve this agreement that the EDC came up with that's before you tonight. I know one councilman has criticized this agreement previously because it didn't include everything he wanted. But I assure you, as the EDC director, worked with the other parties and a mediator, he held fast to the principles that best benefited the city of Freeport. At a previous council meeting, I heard one councilman mention a complaint that the agreement didn't specify concrete streets. It only required that if streets meet Freeport requirements. If any of you have ever driven on Lake Drive and some of the other concrete streets up at in Lake Jackson, you'll know that concrete streets can become a lot like a roller coaster. The surface holds up, but they don't hold level, and they can become a real pain to even try to get to the city limit or city speed limit. So I ask you to rely on the professionals and not try to micromanage things that are outside of your expertise and approve this tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Andrew Deal.
Well, I'm going to fail to take Mr. Bachman's advice and speak on things that are outside my knowledge and expertise. We've all seen, and I've not read this agreement, I don't know it, but we've seen those structures out there rotting for years. A inspector who I'm told no longer works for the city, I discussed it with him, this was at least a year or two ago, and he was under the impression that the cable tension in the slab was never actually tensioned properly when it's set. There was not crimping marks on the cable as you know, he saw as you get in the machine to pull on it. Again, I'm talking about things I don't know. I have hearsay, but I have questions. And a simple principle that if you're going to build something, anything, and it's going to be there for 50 years and some poor working sap's going to put the sweat of his life into it and raise his family in it possibly, just make sure it's not trash and it's not going to fall apart in 10 years. That's all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Pastor.
All right, agenda item 4A, the second reading, consideration and possible action approving resolution number 2026-3042 for an EDC settlement agreement.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, council members.
Good evening.
As you know, last Wednesday, I read this document, and this will be the second reading, so I'll read the same thing. And after, we have tonight with us Judge Sebesta, who's the mediator, Brad Ireland, and Andrea Chan. I'd like to call them up after I'm done so that they can answer questions as they come, if any. The proposed agreement consideration and possible action approving resolution number 2026-3042 for an EDC settlement agreement. The proposed agreement resolves outstanding property ownership and development disputes involving multiple lots within the Velasco town site and establishes a path forward for infrastructure completion and residential development. Under the agreement, the EDC conveys property interests to GNL and AMG, and in return, the developers commit to completing required infrastructure improvements and constructing residential units in accordance with city standards. The agreement includes a defined completion deadline of December 31st, 2027, with liquidated damage assets for failure to meet that deadline. The agreement also includes mutual releases of claims among parties, dismissal of pending litigation, and provisions ensuring clear title, tax responsibility, and lien resolution. The proposed agreement is intended to resolve long-standing disputes related to a property reversion, foreclosure actions, and competing ownership interests across multiple lots within the Velasco town site. It considers obligations between the Freeport Economic Development Corporation, GL&L, and AMG into a single enforceable framework that facilitates infrastructure completion and residential development. The City Council considered a prior version of the agreement at its February 17th, 2026 meeting. Following discussion, Council directed staff to pursue additional sureties and clarifications to strengthen accountability, ensure project completion, and improve overall enforceability. And I should add that this would also be securitized by the fact that it's a court-ordered agreement. In response to Council's direction, the agreement has been revised and supplemented with the following key changes. Infrastructure completion requirements: the parties agree to complete roadway and related infrastructure improvements, including North Avenue N and West Royer extensions, in accordance with city requirements and shared cost participation among the parties. Residential development obligations: GL&L and AMG are each responsible for the development of specific lots, with all construction required to comply with applicable city and county codes. Project completion deadline: certificates of occupancy must be issued for all units by December 31st, 2027. Liquidated damages: failure to meet the completion deadline results in liquidated damages of $500 per day following a 10-day cure period. Force majeure and extension provisions: limited extensions are allowed for documented delays caused by the city or events outside of the developer's control, with strict notice requirements. And finally, the financial impact: the cost of completion for the road will be divided as follows. The Freeport EDC will have 50% of the cost, to AMG 25%, and GL&L 25% for a total of 100%. And with that, I'd like to call the folks that I mentioned earlier.
While we're waiting, I am going to make a motion that we approve agenda item 4A, and I'm going to ask for a second.
I'll second that motion.
Of course you will.
All right, now if you'd like to invite, as I'm sure council's going to have some good questions for you.
I'll step up. I'm Brad Ireland. I am the attorney that was retained by Westcourt Title Insurance Company to represent the interest of its insured, AMG Texas Capital. AMG was one of two lenders that lent money to the builder, now defunct, to construct homes in on the street in the affected area. As the council and Mr. Mayor knows, this all happened a long time ago, and the default was in 2020. AMG's been out its funds, approximately $400,000, for now 6 years. The resolution of this matter through this settlement that has been negotiated over the course of at least a year does not make AMG whole. It does not come close to making it whole. All it does is cut its losses. And it's a compromise resolution. And frankly, the city of Freeport, the Economic Development Corporation, are actually kind of lucky in the sense that you have lenders that also have construction components to their business. And they're able to step up and put these homes together and bring value to these lots and additional tax revenue to the city. So from the perspective of the city, I think it's a win. You get these eyesores finally constructed, completed, sold, increase to your population, to your tax base. It's all a win from the perspective, and in fact, that's exactly what the Economic Development Agreement was intended to do back when it was signed up with this contractor. From the perspective of AMG, they at least get to put this behind them finally after 6 years of litigation and move forward with their lives.
Thank you. Council, do you have any questions? Any comments?
Is that all the speakers?
Well, they might want to answer a question that you have.
I'm just wondering if there's any other presentations first.
Council, any questions or comments?
Yeah. So how many houses is it? 6? Was it 6 houses out there? I mean 7? Who can answer that?
6, yes.
Okay, so are you part of all 6 or the new ones that's coming up? What is it, 4?
So AMG has the 2 homes that are partially constructed that are still in location, that haven't been torn down. So it's got the 2 homes that are, I don't know, 80% done, something of that nature.
Right.
But they are also co-venturing with the other lender, the GL&L, to construct the other homes and get them completed.
Yeah, so you don't have any information about them 2 that's already up. You know, that's my concern, is the 2 that's up already.
Yes.
They have been up there a long time. They have been, I mean, who's inspecting them? I mean, what are we going to do? Are we going to knock them down? Are we going to, start over on them?
Well, so AMG had a structural engineer attend an inspection. It's been a while since that inspection occurred now, but it was back in 2025. So they looked at these homes to determine whether they were structurally sound, whether they were consistent with the city ordinances and construction ordinances, and they felt like that the homes could be salvaged, and that there's going to be some portions of it that will have to be replaced torn down to some extent to build it back up, but there was no need to completely tear it down to the foundation again.
Might I ask a question real quick? That structural engineer was with our code enforcer, correct?
Well, your code enforcer was there for sure, but I believe, my recollection is that AMG brought their own engineer. AMG, one major portion of their business, in fact, the majority of their business is in construction of multifamily housing, apartment complexes throughout the United States, actually. So they have structural engineers on staff that assist them in their construction projects. So I know that they met with city representatives there for the inspection. So I believe that there were professionals from both, the city as well as AMG.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure that it was, the city was involved in that process.
And, Mr. Mayor, I just want to read, when Mr. Dill came up with his presentation, I sent a text. Mr. Torres sends the following. He said, "The foundations were indeed checked. We have engineered foundations and engineered approved foundations."
Yes.
Thank you.
And was that our previous inspectors, or do you know if that was when Reggie was here, or?
I seem to recall that it was Reggie.
It was Reggie.
Yes.
It was Reggie? Okay. Okay. And I see we were talking about the roads, and I know drainage was brought up last time too. So when we were discussing getting the roads done before progress starts again, does that include drainage?
The roads will be built to the specifications of the city, so I'm sure drainage will be included. We met twice during the mediation process with Judge Sebesta and all parties, with building code, EDC, the fire chief, fire marshal, city manager, to discuss all the issues about the road and building requirements. So they were definitely kept in the loop and apprised of the situation and able to give their evaluation. As a matter of fact, that's how we were able to come up with the street plan that we did, because everybody put their heads together. The original was going to be a cul-de-sac and out,
Right.
but now it's connecting Royalston with Avenue M.
Right, right. Okay. I mean, that's a legitimate question, I think, because drainage, part of the reason from the beginning was building houses with no drainage and no roads. And so now I know we're trying to go on the right path here, but I just want to make sure drainage was included. You can build roads and then not finish all the drainage too, so, but we want to make sure that, you know, that's getting done. But you already answered the question, and I thank you for that.
And also, I'd point out that it was Realty World, which, as Brad was saying, is now defunct. They're no longer, that put up those houses and didn't build the street and all that. Everybody else has inherited this. We're working for a win-win, and certainly to be a wonderful development within the city, and also completed to city specifications. And like we said, we can move on from there.
All right, thank you.
Council, any other questions or comments?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Man, I don't even know where to start. But I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I make public here, in this particular forum, my concerns. Just let everybody know the vote's going to probably be 4-1, because there's absolutely no reason why this should be approved. And I'm aware of that. I'm not interested in hurrying up because everybody's here at the table. I don't want to be pressured, and nobody else should ever be pressured because somebody says, well, it's been going on for a long while now. A lot of wrong has been going on for a long while. Yeah, this has been going on for a good 6, 7, maybe even 8 years now, actually. 2018 is when this all began. And it was a bad start because it was a bad start because what this particular program is that it's not good for the city. When you say, hey, listen, we're going to get more population. Really? 6 houses? What? 6 times 4, 24 people? Sure, that's great. But at what expense to the city? Oh, we're going to get ad valorem tax. Oh, really? Well, we've done the math on that, $7,000 a year. But how much are we losing? Well, we're giving away about a $200,000 at least piece of property for free, and $88,000 in infrastructure that I'm not even sure that the real math has been done on that, because this has been hodgepodge patched together. And why do I say that? Why am I so suspicious? Because of all the secrecy that's been going on over the last 2 years, 3 years, 4 years about this litigation. And then we had it in mediation. We had Judge Sebesta here, and City Council should have been a part of that. See, what was misstated or maybe glossed over before is that the city actually owns half of that property. So if we actually have a legal right to half of that property, why aren't we at the negotiation table for the city? Because we own half of it. The other half is actually under the jurisdiction of the EDC, but then there's that argument like, well, Jerry Kane is the liaison to the EDC, and if the mayor has privy to any information, well, he's no different than the rest of the council, so the rest of the council should also have that same information. But we've never heard, you know what we heard about it? We heard crickets. In fact, we were told very little and go away. And so it's very frustrating, but I want to make sure everybody understands the frustration, because this wasn't something that just happened overnight. I want to make sure that the story is truly told. And, don't be fooled by, oh, we're going to be doing something really beautiful here. You're going to have the undercoating on this too. You're going to have rim wheels, and it's going to be all chrome finishes and leather seats. Meanwhile, we're footing the bill. And the ROI on this, if you just do simple math, $388,000 divided by 7,000 is like 52 years. That's a great ROI, don't you think? No. And we talk about, well, the experts looked at this. Really? What experts? Mr. Bachman says, oh, the experts looked at this. We're not going to try to do their jobs. No, that is your job, to make sure that we do, in fact, have experts, sir. That's our job here, too. Our job is to make sure that we're making sure that the city doesn't get screwed and get stuck in a lawsuit. Our job is to make sure that we have professionals doing it, that are licensed, that actually have real skin in the game. Because when you get a licensed engineer, when you get a licensed architect, when you get a licensed lawyer, they're going to do a hell of a lot more work than a board member volunteer, than maybe even a city staff member who may or may not have the credentials. Well, when you're going to sit here and tell me, or stand here today, and let everybody think, well, you know what, the city staff look at it. Well, let me tell you something about city staff that we've had to fire because they were completely incompetent, completely unqualified, and were nepotism hires, okay? And so that just happened in 2025. And I'm glad that heads were rolling in City Hall, because we need to make sure we have experts, professionals that actually know how to hire real experts, real licensed individuals. So I find it kind of crazy to think that we're going to sit here and ask, well, were these properties inspected by anybody? Yeah, well, I mean, Mr. Harris isn't here, and I don't want to be unfair to Mr. Harris, but when somebody's going to say, yeah, and they had, we just got a text message. We just got a text message. And the text message said it was engineers inspected. Really? Well, that's great, because that is nowhere to be found in this binder, in any of these presentations, yet we're supposed to just go ahead and accept all of that? But hey, I'm just one vote, and it's going to go on. But I've been saying I told you so about this project for 8 years, when Realty World didn't have their act together, didn't provide any financials. And I've been singing this song every year. It's a very easy song. I think everybody knows all the lyrics. And so now we have this structures, who we have Mr. Dill come out here in the recent weeks, and I've heard this story before too. We don't know that the foundation's right. I want to see that report before we approve it. I'm not interested in going blindly into this and saying, yeah, you know, well, they said there was engineering reports. Yeah, well, they said they had city staff look at it. Our job is to look at the receipts first, gentlemen. That's our job. EDC board, your job is to look at those receipts as well, firstly. And I see the chairman for the EDC board. I see another board member from the EDC board, Mr. Bachman. Who else is here from the EDC board that wants to stand? Okay, Mr. Ronnie Martin is here as well. And I'm just curious what homework you guys did. So I'm interested in asking you guys those questions. But we don't want to really meddle in the details. The devil's in the details, my friends. And this right here began, let me just tell you, it's really upsetting. Because I care. I give a damn. I give a damn because I put so much time and effort to actually explain it back then, and I'm trying to explain it now. Rome is burning on this one here. We're losing our asses on this thing. But you don't care because you get a six-figure salary. You don't care because, you know, we'll just leave it over to the experts and the engineers, and we don't need to look at it. We just make little votes here and there. But no, these votes matter because the real money matters. This is why I have such a disdain for how lackadaisical the EDC board, as it's currently comprised, has been acting on this project and others, but really the secrecy of it all. We got that transparency award from the city. I'm grateful for that, but I want to see that transparency award over at the EDC. We ain't seen that. Certainly not on this particular project. Leaning on the experts. We're not leaning on the experts, we're ignoring the experts. And it makes no sense for us to move forward on this if we're gonna say, well, we'll get the experts later. Oh, we'll look at the financials later. This is why we're here. Because it was lazy political work, and that's the real kicker here I want to let you guys know about. This whole development deal was a good idea in the spirit of it all, right? We're gonna build houses. Housing, oh yeah, we all need housing. Everybody wants housing. But this was a political deal. This was a political deal that was agreed upon, not by the EDC board. I want people to know this. This was a backroom deal, literally, where Brimage was brought in. And the Realty World guys were there, and the EDC board was there, and they got basically told to shut up. And Tim Kelty was there, literally with his hand on with his finger over his mouth, telling me to shush. Because he didn't want me to be exposing the corruption of it all, number one, and really just the lack of any true due diligence or transparency, and for that matter, the real proper procedures here. So do I want 6 houses over here off of Skinner? Absolutely. Do I want it where basically now the city is being screwed and the ROI is so bad? And then for that matter, I don't know why we're paying for half of this street. Why are we paying for this street now? Because in the original agreement, the street was supposed to be paid by the developer. But now, because we want to be playing patty cakes and looking like, hey, we're doing something, we're making progress, we add this other elbow here, and now the city's paying for that, or the EDC, which is really still residents' taxpayer monies. Yeah, I'm probably sounding like a broken record because the truth of the matter is this deal is broken. That's all I have.
Council, any other questions or comments?
Yes, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I'll have one question for each of the different representatives here. Judge Sylvester, let me start with you, please, sir.
Yes, sir.
Before us is this resolution to agree to a settlement, or have our EDC agree to a settlement between AMG, GL, and L, and the Freeport EDC in a lawsuit. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And this is a settlement that you mediated between all of the parties?
That's
Is that
correct.
correct? Thank you. And in this settlement, would you describe a clear winner out of this entire settlement? Could you? If you don't feel comfortable answering that question, I understand.
I will just say generally with cases that I've presided over for 24 years or mediated, I don't know that when you have a resolution to something or a case that there's ever going to be a clear winner. It's a mediated settlement. These parties came together, they mediated in good faith. I believe these parties tried to fashion an agreement where, I mean, you know, we can say win-win for everybody, but it was a good resolution to a lawsuit that was in front of Judge Gilbert that was going to have to make a decision where everybody had risk involved.
Okay. Thank you for that answer. I truly appreciate it. And with this settlement agreement, when it was being mediated, was any party allowed to disclose to anybody that was not a part of that mediation? Are they allowed to disclose any information whatsoever?
Well, there's rules of mediation, and part of the mediation process is that it does have to be confidential. Now, if there are parties that aren't involved, that are members of various organizations, they can probably disclose it to those organizations, those members. But we do ask that the mediations be confidential. I got appointed in 2025. I know they said that this has been going on since 2018. I was appointed sometime in 2025 or asked to mediate it, and I did send out rules of mediation and asked that it be confidential.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Ms. Chan. In your legal opinion, being the attorney of record for this lawsuit, is this a agreement that will resolve this lawsuit for the city of Freeport EDC?
It is.
Okay. And is this agreement that we are looking at in front of us, does it contain the items that the city council requested from the February 17th, 2026 meeting?
From what I understand of what was requested, it does.
Okay. Okay. And it's been stated that this mediation has, and this lawsuit's been about a year. Is that correct?
The lawsuit?
Yeah, for the mediation and the lawsuit, yes, about a year. I know the lawsuit has been longer, but.
We've been actively working on mediating, resolving it after the mediation. Once we were able to, start discussing, it's been about a year.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Ms. Chan. I may have another question for you, but let me go on. I'm sorry, sir. I forgot your name. Will you please?
Brad Ireland.
Brad. Appreciate you being here tonight. Brad, you're the legal representative for both AMG and GL&L, correct?
Not true. I am counsel for AMG.
Counsel for AMG. Okay. Sorry about that. And with this agreement, AMG is satisfied to release the lawsuit against the FEDC?
AMG is delighted to resolve this matter after these many years. They're very interested in concluding this settlement and moving forward.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Ireland. I appreciate that. Yes, sir.
One thing about the mediation process when it comes to these types of cases, most mediations take 4, 8 hours maybe. When you're involved in something like this, it does take a long time. There's initial mediation process, and then, as I think Mr. Johnson said, I've been involved in meetings with the city, been to 2 city council meetings. It does take a while. I was involved with the mediation process with the city of Freeport and the port, and again, that took a long while to do. But most mediations typically take either a morning or just a day to get mediated mediations like this, they do take a long while because you have to meet with city members, meet with a lot of people that are involved with the city to make sure that what you're agreeing to meets with their requirements.
Okay. Okay. I appreciate that clarification. Thank you, sir. Robert. And all of this information that is in front of us, the board and legal, they have reviewed everything, and they are in agreement with this settlement agreement.
Yes, sir. The board voted on it at the last meeting, and it was a unanimous vote to accept and move this on to the reading process.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Robert. I asked all those questions because I want to make sure that what we are going to be voting on will be resolving this issue. There's been a lot of hyperbole thrown about in multiple meetings here. There's been flat-out lies thrown out, not by anybody who I've asked a question of, but people sitting up here who want to try and have revisionist history.
What's the lie? Describe the lies, please.
Councilman Pena.
I mean, make those accusations.
Councilman
Construct an
Pena.
argument. Well, I know you're in cahoots with him, Jerry, so you go right ahead. Are we going to gavel the peanut gallery out there?
I'm about to gavel you, Councilman Pena. While you were speaking, everybody gave you the floor, and I expect
always
the
happy to
same
converse with you.
respect
I'm always
for
happy
the
to
other
converse.
council members.
The way you facilitate this meeting is a one-way street. It should be two-way. There should be discussion and dialogue. Good grief. That's why we're in these problems
I'm
that we are.
perfectly fine with discussion and dialogue, but there's going to be one person at a time, and right now, Councilman Matamoros has the floor.
Never happened.
Thank you.
I'll watch.
One of the being in a city position, there's a lot of note-taking, a lot of going back. That way the public can be informed. Make sure that, hey, they're being they know what's going on within their city government. Myself, I like to do research. If I have questions, I ask. Well, I always like to go and look at previous meetings. If it's online, I'll watch it. If they're minutes, I read them. I love to go back to our EDC meeting minutes and look at who votes for and who votes against these items. And what was stated when these items are being talked about. And so I've gone back to June 19th, 2018, at that Freeport EDC meeting. August 14th, 2018, that city meeting. And these are all meetings that discuss this project, which has now become a lawsuit, and it's going to be settlement. And when there's a board member, now sitting councilman, who's in attendance, October 23rd, 2018, again, another one, he's in attendance. And every single time this project comes up, he's stated on the record that, hey, he voted against it. Well, here's the truth. Motion made by Director Marquez, seconded by Director Garcia. EDC will retain engineer to review all plans before construction of Realty World begins. It was voted 4-0. In attendance, board members, Jeff Pena, Brad Stevens, Mingo Marquez, Ed Garcia.
What was the motion?
But yet again,
What was the
he
motion?
stated he voted against it.
For the engineering, right?
Again, Mayor, will you please ask him to not interrupt me?
Are you that sensitive?
Councilman,
Are you that delicate? Answer the
Councilman.
question. Good grief, grow up. 2 weeks.
October 23rd. Concerning Realty World, one-year maintenance bond and authorization letter from lender required. 5-0 vote. Board members in attendance. One Jeff Pena,
Do you know
Brad
what you're reading?
Stevens.
Councilman Pena,
Jerry, you know what he's reading, right?
he's reading minutes from an EDC meeting.
It doesn't undermine. my
Councilman
point at all.
Pena, it's the last time.
Or what?
Wow.
You can't break the law, sir.
And I've have all these, and I'm bringing them up, is because of actions that he was a part of. Our EDC is in this lawsuit. And now this is settlement agreement, it is in front of us to vote on to end this. I have read it over. Yeah, there are some things that I'd like to see more information on, but I trust our city manager, Dr. Kelly, our new building official, that
They're not certifying it.
Councilman Pena.
The lawyers are certifying this, not the experts.
Councilman
You
Pena.
know the difference, though.
George has the floor.
Just nuts. He's throwing our staff under the table.
well, I'm not throwing any staff under the table. I was just going to state that when it comes time for certificates of occupancy, they will make sure that everything built is to city code. I have faith that they will do their job and do it correctly. Just like I have faith that Robert, the EDC board, Ms. Chan, are doing their job and their job properly. If we were talking about a different attorney, I probably wouldn't have that faith. That's documented. I appreciate y'all being here tonight, giving us y'all's time. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Councilman. Council, any other questions or comments?
I do.
Yes.
Rebuttal on this, it's so nuts. I mean, what you just heard was just buffoonery, I gotta tell you. And anybody that wants to interrupt and have a debate about this, I'm happy to have it, unlike anybody else on the other side of this table. Jerry, you're welcome to ask me any questions you'd like, and I'm happy to have that discussion. Because you can't come up here and say, oh, I got the receipts where he was all for it, when all you give was examples of like, I'm asking for due diligence. Good grief, yes, I voted so that there's engineering. What am I talking about tonight? That there's engineering. Dang. Oh, yeah, you voted so that there's financial disclosures. I just said that, dude, 30 minutes ago. Pay attention. Don't just read the notes they give you. I mean, good grief. And for the record, the mediation work, thank you, Mr. Sebesta. You were there involved with the port, and you wore your hat, you did your job professionally, with integrity, and I appreciate it. And for that matter, the attorney is doing her job, which is supposed to be doing her client's bidding, whether it's right or wrong. And so for that, you can't blame her for that. But you can criticize it, especially when it doesn't really help the city, but it's helping giving all the EDC people the excuse to wash their hands of it. But let me be clear, I was asking for this information before the mediation began. So if you want to hang your hat on, well, we're in mediation, we can't talk about it, well, that's the lame-ass excuse that's been given for the last year. But prior to that, I was asking for that information on record, and it was never provided. Why? Because Johnson, Olson and Olson, and the board of directors, or the directors, excuse me, the board members on the EDC were playing cat and mouse. So let's be super effing clear about that. And so the chair is Mark Parker, you have Ron Bachman here, and you have Ronnie Martin. Remember these names, folks, because I'm inviting every resident that actually wants to do the due diligence and ask for engineering reports proactively and financial disclosures proactively. And not pretend like it's some way of just, oh, he just approves it blindly. No. And I can tell you, it's not a win-win situation. We just heard this. We just heard it's not a win-win. It is not a win-win. But you know what it really is? It's a win-lose. It's a bigger loss for the city. Because at the last meeting, Johnson even conceded, well, what's going to happen? What's the worst going to happen? We're going to have to start all over if we win. That's what I've been saying the whole damn time. We need to start over and make sure that this doesn't get to become what it always has been, some political backroom deal, so that we actually put the property up front in the public domain so that we get the best set of developers to come forward that have their act together. And it doesn't mean that AMG can't throw their name in the hat there, but we need to start fresh. Not just keep going because we're so exhausted and we're tired. We've been doing this for a long time and everybody's here at the table ready to stroke a check. That's how we got here. Of course AMG is delighted that this is going to be over, or that they want it to be over. But I'm telling every taxpayer out there, this is a raw, bad deal for the city of Freeport. And remember that. This is just one of many other examples I'm able to provide. But leadership means we take the tough decisions. We make the tough decisions, and the tough one here tonight is really not that tough. The math is very simple. We're going to get uncomfortable because we got to tell somebody, hey, we're going to start over, and everybody else throw their name in the hat. Meanwhile, the city doesn't have to get screwed overnight automatically out of $400,000. Oh, our ROI, 52 years. Nobody's doing that. I think the worst deal we ever did on the EDC was like a 10-year ROI. Go to the market, go to the open market. Does anybody go into their IRA, donate to their IRA or their 401k and say, I can't wait for me to break even in year 12? No, you're looking at the next year, you're looking at this year. Who's bidding on Bitcoin for 12 years from now? Listen, I said it then, it was a bunch of I told you so's then. I don't get tired of telling it, and I'm telling you again, when this thing blows up again and the city's stuck with $400,000 of unnecessary losses, I'm gonna be here on social media, at council, at EDC, sharing the I told you so's on this. Thank you, Mayor.
Council, anyone else? I would like to say 8 years of litigation, at least a year of mediation, to me does not sound like rushing this. Mr. Johnson, the attorneys, Judge Sebesta, I appreciate the hard work that y'all put in this. The EDC board, I appreciate the hard work y'all put in on this. Ashley, I have one question for you before I call the vote, if you don't mind.
Yes, sir.
How much money are those properties making the city as they are right now?
None.
None. Thank you. With that, Council, I will call the vote. All those in favor state aye. Aye. All opposed state nay.
Nay.
Motion carries 4-1. Thank you all very much.
I'd like to thank the council for that vote and Dr. Kelly for the work that she put in, Mr. Pennington for the work he put in, and all of our guests that came out here tonight to help us through this process.
Absolutely.
Terrible. Absolutely terrible.
All right, agenda item 4B, consideration and possible action approving the park closure for Take a Child Fishing Tournament on Saturday, May 9th, 2026. Mr. Perez.
Mayor, council, I'm here to just ask if we can close the park down from 6 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. for safety concerns for Take a Child Fishing. Do I have y'all's approval?
Council, is there a motion? We have a motion to approve by Councilman Pena. Is there a second?
Thank you.
I'll second.
I'll second.
Oh, okay, you beat me to it. We're going to say seconded by Councilman Davis. Any discussion needed on this, gentlemen? Go ahead.
Now, thank y'all once again, the port. Thank y'all for all y'all gonna be doing the city of Freeport out there. Hopefully, everything runs smoothly. But I know I see that Take a Child Fishing, and it's a big event, y'all. And I thank y'all for coming each and every year doing that. I mean, it's for donations. The fee is like donations, right? Like canned good. It's pretty much free for the kids, man, and they really take advantage of that, and they really enjoy that. And I hope y'all continue to do this for years to come. We just they already set the invitation out, but man, if you haven't been, take your kid out there and join the experience. I think the kids have a really good time, and thank y'all for all y'all do with the youth here in Freeport.
If I may, this is the 26th year.
26
year, he said. Oh, and I see 26 more to come. Thank y'all. God bless you.
Council, any other questions or comments? I made a comment earlier, and I mean it. Every city can have a Christmas event or a Halloween event or a summertime jamboree, whatever they want to call it. But Freeport's one of the few places around that can hold an event like this. And to the port, thank y'all for doing this for 26 years, and I hope it's many, many years to come. Dr. Kelly has not experienced this yet, so she's got something to look forward to. All right, council, I'll call the vote. All those in favor state aye. Aye. All opposed state nay. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thanks again to the port. Agenda item 4C, discussion of the 2026 Council Priorities Survey results. Dr. Kelly.
Yes, thank you. The city conducted a community survey to gather input on key priorities to inform the city's council's strategic planning and upcoming budget process. The survey asked respondents to identify their top priority areas, rate the importance of various city services, and provide feedback on current performance and community needs. A total of 60 responses were received. Of those respondents, 77% indicated they interact with the city at least occasionally, while 23% reported limited interaction. Survey results indicate a clear emphasis on infrastructure and utilities as the community's highest priority, followed by city facilities and public assets and economic development and tourism. Respondents consistently rated all major service areas as important to the city's future. Feedback also reflects a perceived gap between the importance of service and current performance, particularly in infrastructure, economic development, and overall service delivery. I do have a PowerPoint for you. Do you have that? Click. There we go. So why does this survey matter? As we move into the FY 26-27 budget, we wanted to make sure we were grounding that process in direct community input. While the sample size was modest, the responses are consistent, and they give us a clear sense of where expectations are and where gaps exist. So what does the data show? A few things stand out right away. Infrastructure overwhelmingly rises to the top, selected by 88% of the respondents. Across the board, residents rated services as highly important, but performance consistently trails behind. So the takeaway here isn't confusion about priorities, it's a gap between expectations and perceived delivery. So the top community priorities, as previously stated, 88% infrastructure and utilities, economic development and tourism was at 87%, city facilities and public assets was at 80%. So what's important here is that these are tangible, visible issues, things residents interact with each day. So here's our expectations versus performance gap. This slide is really the core of the survey. You can see the gap between how important residents view the services. For instance, infrastructure is at a 4.17 rating out of 5, but they rated our perceived performance as a 2.6. So we have a gap of 1.57 there. Infrastructure shows the largest gap, followed by economic development and overall service delivery. That gap is consistent, and it's a clear signal of where our attention is needed. So residents were also asked an open-ended survey question, and this is where the data turns into their lived experience. Residents are talking about roads, drainage, safety, and overall city conditions. They're also expressing a desire for more activity, more retail, more dining, more vibrancy. So this isn't abstract feedback. It's very much tied to day-to-day quality of life. From a strategic standpoint, a few things are clear. Infrastructure is the dominant priority. There's a need to close the gap between expectations and performance, not just operationally, but in how we progress in communicating these issues. Economic development also continues to play a supporting role in overall quality of life. So what does all this mean for funding? This is really where this translates into action. The intent is to use this feedback to guide a shift toward priority-based budgeting, allocating resources based on the priorities you ultimately establish as council. That means focusing on infrastructure and visible improvements, aligning funding with outcomes, and ensuring we're transparent about how those decisions are made. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Council, do you have anything for Dr. Kelly?
What was the total number of respondents?
60.
60?
Yes, sir.
60. Wow. And we have a population of 10,000.
Yes.
I wonder if we could take polls at all the events that we have a booth that gives away little tchotchkes, little T-shirts that I love Freeport, and then in exchange they do that survey. We might get more results. Just an idea. Or at the beach, give everybody a trash bag. Thank you for the work. It's very informative. Thank you.
Council, anyone else? You know, I would like to say I was kind of skeptic about this whenever we first started it, but whenever I went on and did the survey online, then I started to see the value in it. I too am concerned with only 60 participants, and I'm wondering if maybe we could extend this for a little while to see if we could get more information. I do understand that we want to take as much of this information we can into the budget cycle. So, you know, if it couldn't be done now, then next year, whenever we decide to do this again, maybe we should do it a little bit earlier.
Yes, we can definitely look at that.
It's the first of its kind, I think, that we've ever had. So
In
thank you.
Freeport, for
Yep.
sure.
Thank you.
Council, any other questions or comments for Dr. Kelly?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Every time you look up Lake Jackson, Clute, Angleton, a new business is popping up. And I'm wondering, what is it that we're doing wrong that we're not getting something? I don't know who's responsible for it. Maybe somebody in here tonight knows who's responsible for getting some of these businesses, or at least giving us a chance to get some of these businesses. That's my question.
I have an answer to that, you know, about 5 years ago, we had a consultant company coming in, Retail Strategies. And they echoed what most real estate professionals will say, is that we're not playing to the strengths of our waterfronts, number one, is one of the things they said. The top two things they said was that, and then it's also just socioeconomics. And so, you know, 60% of Freeport residents are at or below the poverty level. So it was, you know, kind of a victory, or a good victory when we got Starbucks here, number one. But when people start asking, hey, well, why hasn't the city council brought in HEB? Why hasn't city council brought in? Those companies decide on it based on whether or not they're going to make a profit. And the real kicker is that we got to get as much residential in place and get as many new homes built so that the numbers go higher. That was the answer. I hope that answers your question.
Council, anyone else got something for Dr. Kelly?
Dr. Kelly, I do have something. And looking at this survey, I agree. Our infrastructure needs to be upgraded. And even though I won't be on council to make budget decisions, but I would like to charge the council members who will be on here and the new ones, along with yourself and staff, to start putting a prioritization for our infrastructure. We really need to make sure that that is taken care of before any true growth comes into our city. We need the growth, but if we don't get our infrastructure correct from the beginning, then we're going to just have issues later on down the road. So, Dr. Kelly, if we can prioritize that as a city in future budgets, I would be greatly appreciated of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman.
Mayor, I got one other
Yes,
item I
sir.
want to mention. You know, it's always infrastructure, right? And it seems to be like this imaginary concept. And I got to say, in the 6 years that we've been on council, Jerry, we've focused on infrastructure. We've gotten the streets. We've worked on the sewer and drainage, the meters, overspent on that. But the real kicker of it all is, my friends, is that it's not that the city's not investing in the infrastructure, it's that we didn't have the right staff. That's the problem. When we were putting those streets in on 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th in 2023, the inspections weren't being done by our public works director. He actually would go out there, and I'm talking about Lance Petty, did absolutely nothing, never got out of his truck. And the residents on 9th and 10th were recording him. And they'd send me those videos. And I think they sent some to Brooks Bass, too, who was the mayor then. But the problem is that we need to make sure we have the right pros. So I would charge Ms. Kelly not so much to focus on infrastructure for the sake of focusing in on it. Well, let's look at it. Infrastructure, we're doing it. The problem is that we're not doing it right. And so I would make sure that we continue doing what we're trying to do now and hire the best people. Not people that were dropping the ball, or corrupt, not doing their job. Clean house if you have to. Get a fresh start, get some smart people. Now, we have some really good, hardworking people in our city staff, and we keep those. I like hard workers. But we got to make sure that we have the right leadership in the right positions. I'm talking about HR, I'm talking about Public Works, I'm talking about the Parks Department, I'm talking about the beach, I'm talking about the new Assistant City Manager. All these positions are super highly critical, and I hope that we bring people that are smarter than the average bear. Because we did pretty damn good with you. We're doing pretty damn good with Ashley. We're doing pretty damn good with Harris. We're doing pretty damn good with Duncan.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
And all the grifters are laughing, and they will be exposed. Thank you.
You know, I would like to kind of expand upon what Councilman Matamoros and Councilman Pena said. We have, in the last 6 years, spent a lot of money on infrastructure, and it has gotten a lot better. However, when it rains, we still have areas of the city that flood. When it rains, we still have commodes that won't flush. Okay? So we're not done. We can't stop the momentum that we have. So infrastructure needs to be a continued priority. Council, anyone else on this? Anything else?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So I guess we'll keep saying the same thing, but no. Infrastructure, it's always priority in growth, sustainability, in, growing the city. And like they just said, I think the city has been spending a nice amount of money on infrastructure. But I think infrastructure is an ongoing project. It's a never ending. You're gonna always have to work on infrastructure, and it is a costly, thing. So all we can do is chip away at it, and I think they've been chipping away at it, pretty good there. And as long as you don't stop, you can always do better. We can always do better because we can find grants. I think we've hired a grant writer now, and so it's some opportunities out there to cash in on help, doing more in our infrastructure. So I look forward to that portion of the growth coming in with finding grants and stuff for infrastructure. Because like I said, it's an ongoing project. And it is always, should be at the top of the list of any city or any leadership team, infrastructure. But, as the city of Freeport has declined from 12,000 and something to 10,000 and something right now. So, what we have dropped the ball on is capitalizing on tourism, foot traffic. You want to bring in HEBs, and while we don't have Chili's and Chick-fil-A and, things like that, because we don't have the foot traffic. We have, as, Councilman said, we might have a nice portion of low income. We have a lot of older people here in the town that's not really moving around to be able to support these, big time corporations, businesses to come in here. And that's where we have failed on, is attracting foot traffic. If you look in the paper now, our schools are hurting. Our schools are hurting right now. We're closing down schools every 2-3 years or so because we're not bringing in new families here. Okay, well, we have to, do developments like these housing things. But you have to have things here in the city to do for people to want to come and move here and raise a family here, you know, or for these businesses to be able to, you know, survive. You have to attract people here in Freeport. Like Mayor Kane says, anybody can have a Christmas party or what some other festivity, but only Freeport can have a fishing tournament. It's a lot of things that we can do on that waterfront that we have not capitalized on. Anytime I go on vacation, or just go out somewhere, to Galveston or Kemah or you know places like that, New Brunsville or something, it's always jam-packed. And they're capitalizing on their water. And we are the only place here in the county that has that. That's foot traffic. That's foot traffic. That's how you attract these big restaurants, these HEBs, these stores. You know, that's part of it. That's part of the attraction to that, because you have to have people coming in here spending money there, you know. And then you have our youth. You have to invest in your youth. People will take their kids and spend money on their youth. So that's why I say the sports complex, it has to, you know, sport. I travel, I go, all my kids play. Everywhere you go, everywhere we go. We just went to volleyball last weekend. It's packed, it's jam-packed. 400-500 people in a little warehouse for volleyball. You can put up a little warehouse and put volleyball courts in there. And I mean, 400-500 people coming to your city every weekend. You got a sports complex. You got 500-600 people every weekend. I mean, you know, it's some people that maybe, that ain't going. That's because you don't see it, because you don't participate in that, because you don't go to these places. So you can sit there and, that ain't. If you go there, you'll see. And then you spend money. You rent rooms. We have hotels that'll come up. We may get another hotel to come in here. Because every weekend somebody's coming here and they have to rent a room. They have to rent somewhere to stay. Guess what? They need to go to the store. Every time we go stay there, we need to go to the store. We need to get stuff. We're going to be here for the weekend. We need to go to the restaurant. Guess what? We don't have good restaurants here. So we're going, guess where they're going? To Lay Jackson. Guess where they're going to Lay Jackson? You know? But that's when the corporations will see, man, there's a lot of traffic down now. I want to put my restaurant down now. You can say no. We can agree to disagree. I mean, and that's good. That's good. But I just want you to keep an open mind. Just keep an open mind, and you know, or come visit. Go and visit baseball games and softball games and where they have these sports complexes at. And it may change your perspective on things. But foot traffic, keep an open mind, y'all. Invest in your youth. God bless you.
Council, anyone else? Dr. Kelly, do you have anything else you wanted to add to that?
No, sir, thank you.
All right, thank you. We're going to move on. Agenda item 4D, consideration and possible action regarding the rescheduling of the first May 2026 meeting to May 7th, 2026. Staff recommendations. Staff recommends approval of rescheduling the first May 2026 meeting to Thursday, May 7, 2026.
Is that legal?
Item summary. This item is for consideration and possible action to change the date of the first regular meeting in May 2026 to May 7th, 2026, in order to accommodate the election canvassing timeline. Background information, the general election is scheduled for May 2nd, 2026. In accordance with state requirements, the canvassing period will take place from May 5th through May 13th, 2026. Adjusting the meeting date allows sufficient time for election-related processes to begin and ensure compliance with applicable timelines. Per the city charter, canvassing must be conducted 5 days after Election Day. Special considerations. Rescheduling the meeting to May 7, 2026 helps avoid conflicts with canvassing activities and related election procedures. Dunk, you stepped up to the mic real quick, like you wanted to say something.
No, I was making a note to make sure I get the election ordinance done.
All right.
On my
thank you.
calendar.
All right. So council, I will make a motion to approve agenda item 4D, and we'll ask for a second.
I'll second that motion, Mayor.
Seconded by Councilman Matamoros.
Why can't we just call a special meeting? We call them all the time. And that's my first question. My second question, is this even legal to move the meeting to accommodate the election cycle when typically for these kinds of events, we actually hold a special meeting? That's a question for our attorney, Mr. Duncan.
Yes, it's legal. The majority vote of the council can reschedule a regular meeting.
So at the May 7th meeting, we're going to canvass the election results.
Yeah, what happens is you have the election, and then the county will certify the results and send them to the city secretary. And once those are certified by the county, then we can pass the ordinance canvassing the election results. And then that would be then after we pass that ordinance, then at that same time, the council members can be sworn in, the new council members.
On the 7th?
Correct, if we get the if we get the certified results from the county.
So when will the new electees be sworn in?
Possibly, yes.
The 7th? That's my question. One more meeting to go.
Council, any other questions or comments on this?
So we're out of compliance if we don't have it on the 7th. We're out of compliance if we don't have it on the 7th.
I don't understand your question.
The canvassing and 5 days from the election date.
That's legal, correct. It's legal. It is legally permissible for y'all to vote and change the city council date to May 7th, correct.
And we couldn't canvass on the 3rd.
No, because we have to get the certified results from the
And so
county.
if the county doesn't certify them before the 7th, then what?
They should, but by law, they're supposed to.
Okay.
But if something happens and there's a tornado
Right.
or whatever, right?
Just want to be sure. Thank you.
I can't say 100%, but that's just how it works, yeah.
Yeah.
Council, any other questions or comments on this? Hearing none, I will call the vote. All those in favor state aye. Aye. All opposed state nay.
Nay.
Motion carries 4-1.
So is this the last meeting of this council?
Let's move on.
Possibly.
This is the last regular scheduled meeting of this council. Agenda item 4E, consideration and possible action on CenterPoint's distribution cost recovery factor proposed settlement. Mr. Duncan.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, so I'll just kind of explain this in as simple terms as I can. The Public Utility Commission controls the state agency that controls the utilities, and they control what rates the utilities can charge. CenterPoint Energy, they provide the transmission. So when you sign up for your electric company, you can sign up with any company and they do the billing and charge you your electric fee. But part of that electric bill comes from CenterPoint, and that's their transmission fee of what it costs to maintain all the power lines and all the infrastructure needed to transmit electricity. So CenterPoint Energy filed a request with the Public Utility Commission asking for permission to increase their rates that they charge for electricity customers for a distribution cost recovery factor. And that's basically, hey, we had, some disasters, we had some extra expenses, we had freezes or whatever, and our expenses are higher, and so we want to prove that we had higher legitimate expenses, and we want to get an increase in our transmission rate. So they filed, CenterPoint files that request with the Public Utility Commission. Now there's a organization called the Texas Coalition of Cities for Utility Issues, and this organization represents all the cities in Texas, and they argue on behalf of the cities and on behalf of the electricity customers around the state. And so basically they fight CenterPoint. They go in front of PUC and they fight with CenterPoint and try to get zero increase or the smallest increase that they can on behalf of the cities and the citizens. And so we've, City of Freeport signed on with them, as well as pretty much every city in the state that I know of signed on and give them permission to argue on our behalf and try to keep those electricity rates as low as possible. So this pending cost recovery increase that CenterPoint applied with PUC, the Public Utility Commission, for the Texas Coalition for Cities, the group that's working for us, negotiated with them and worked out an agreement with them to reduce the amount that they're going to increase and also delay and try to spread it out over a long period of time so they don't get their recovery, they don't get to recover their cost as quickly, right? And so they gave us notice that they've come to this disagreement and that they've asked the city to vote and approve that they do the settlement agreement with CenterPoint Energy. So now I believe that we do not have our single vote, we don't have the authority to veto the agreement, right? So, there's however many cities there are in Texas, and this organization is working for us, works for all the other cities. So if they get sufficient votes from a sufficient number of cities, then the settlement won't be able to go through. But regardless, I do recommend that because we've signed up with these folks and we rely on them to get in there and fight and get the best deal for us, that I recommend that the council votes and approves the settlement.
Kind of sounds like CenterPoint has the same infrastructure issue as the city of Freeport does. And Dr. Kelly, do you agree with Mr. Duncan's assessment on this?
Yes.
All right, council, I will entertain a motion.
Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
We have a motion to approve by Councilman Matamoros. Is there a second?
I'll second.
A second by Councilman Davis. Any questions or comments on this for Dr. Kelly or Mr. Duncan? Hearing none, I will call the vote. All those in favor state aye. Aye. All opposed state nay. Motion carries unanimously. That, ladies and gentlemen, should bring us to the front of my agenda packet, to the work session. Councilman Pena, Ward A.
I want to thank everybody that has stood up for transparency and accountability. I want to thank everybody that signed the petition for accountability. I want to thank the city staff, our police department, parks department, public works department, for doing such a great job at the beach. Our beach has never looked better. And I've been posting videos every Sunday, and it just keeps getting better and better. So kudos, and please keep up the good work with the trash cans and the clearing of the sand to the dunes, so that the sand is actually nice and flat and navigable by low-profile vehicles that don't have 4x4. I just want to make a couple of comments here on items that were brought up during citizen comments. A lot of pot calling the kettle black, you might say. But I could be mistaken, but I believe that, as I was told by residents, that Mr. Sam Reyna was also convicted of illegal gun carrying and heroin dealing, and was convicted and did prison time for that. And those receipts will be released. And I also want to make sure that people understand that the lies being perpetuated by Mr. Reyna here this evening, I want to make some clarifications. It wasn't 25,000, it was 2,500. Get the numbers right, the zeros matter. And a licensed electrician was hired. In fact, 2 of them were hired. But you know what stopped it? The same thing that caused the Realty World situation stopped that one, and it was just stupid politics. Stupid politics. You want to know why Freeport doesn't advance? It's because of the stupid politics, because somebody else doesn't want somebody else to get the credit because they don't like them. And so that's what was happening. Because the electricians were harassed and threatened by EDC board members even that were part of this CCF group. And there were some residents who were also trying to prevent it, the positive progress, because it was right next door to them. And I was public enemy number 1 because I was exposing the corruption of how they got their properties. They were threatened by current board member David McGinty and resident Gardo Campbell, who got a Sweetheart Riverfront deal. But you won't hear about those receipts from these guys. That's their buddy. That's what cronies do. That's what grifters do, to name a few. And there's more receipts on some of these other EDC board members. And I'll be getting into that. And I know that there are some of our candidates that know about those details as well. But what's worse is that you had a former city manager, Kelty, who illegally wired, by the way, as you recall, $345,000 to Covarrubias. He was weaponizing the code department to do any improvements to the EDC property. Yep, and even Casey Roman used her position as the building and code director to settle scores and secretly instructed Centerpoint to prevent any progress. So you want to know why these things didn't happen? It wasn't because of the math. It wasn't because of the officials or the licensed individuals not being there. It was because of the stupid politics. And this is just one of the many corrupt abuses against the businesses that Casey Roman was directly involved in. And I'm told she was involved in pay-to-play permits. And I'm waiting on those receipts. And yet, even after I was not reappointed on the EDC in 2022, Kelty and Casey worked together to pressure the EDC board to stay in City Hall. So what, right? But the facts are, just like earlier today, too unimportant for a convicted heroin dealer and who has flaunted gun laws. That's why we're wanting, by the way, because of the dangerous convicted felons who might violate the law again, and serious drug heroin dealing convictions, or convicted felons. I just want to make sure that you guys know. Mind you, I never state these items unless I have the receipts, and I've gotten some of the receipts, and I'll make them public. But here's the kicker. I just want to make sure that was stated for the record. And for the record, I have 3 other things I want to say. Number 1, our mayor has been formally recalled as promised. Over 300 citizens were in agreement and have signed that petition. And that was submitted today formally, to the chagrin of anybody who wants to violently assault me. And so that's the other thing. For the record, there are 2 active felony assault charges against a public official, a public servant, and that's Cindy Kane and our Mr. Lovely, Madam Morris. And I want to let everybody know that here going forward in the month of May and June, the boards, the EDC board, and all the other boards are going to have openings. And I encourage everybody that signed these petitions to take your city back and join these boards. Last but not least, you saw the misrepresentation of minutes from the EDC in 2017, 2018 by Madam Morris, making my points, really. He was really making my own points. But the truth of the matter is, he was trying to make them as lies. And I could tell you, when it comes to lies, Madam Morris has lied under oath. In August of 2011, he hired, Madam Morris's family was hired to clean up and secure the EDC buildings. That same month, Madam Morris requested $4,600 for work done. The contractor that they had, Damon Associates, they didn't get paid, so they filed suit to seize $4,600 of funds. And so there was an uncollected judgment against Madam Morris since 2002. Mind you, this is before my time, but the records have not aged well for Mr. Madam Morris. Let me just put it to you right this way here. In September of 2015, Madam Morris claimed that he paid the EDC that he was paid $6,250 and he did 75% of the work. In another lawsuit with Damien, he ends up testifying that they did 80% of the work. And yet Brooks Bass, the former mayor, who was called as a witness, said otherwise. And so the question has always been, who's lying under oath, Brooks Bass or George Matamoros? 2 sworn statements, 2 opposing views. One of them was lying. And I could just tell you, I had a personal conversation with Brooks Bass over at, by the Fountain of Truth. And I remember when I brought that up to him, he told me, yep, that still makes me sick, quote unquote. And so I say all this to tell you guys that this might be our last meeting, and I'm glad because now we have one less untruthful councilman here spewing lies to the public about their record, attacking city staff, myself included, and never has had the receipts. In fact, I've had to warn him that he should really watch it, otherwise he's going to have a defamation lawsuit, which I still have the prerogative to actually file in addition to the violent felony assault that he is charged with. And so I just want to let you guys know, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to still be here. And a vote for a vote for Nicole Morales, who is one of his largest supporters, is a vote for George. So if you want more of the same of George Matamoros type of representation, you will vote for Nicole, but I highly encourage you not to, or discourage you not to. And just know that she gets her advice, as I was told by another resident, that she admitted that she gets all of her advice from Mr. Reyna. And that's a scary thought considering his felony record. That's all I have. As always, need your help to make Freeport the best Freeport ever. God bless.
Ward B, Councilman Davis.
All right, thank you all for coming out. Thank everybody for tuning in. You know, despite of, I heard a lot of bad employees quote, but you know, I don't know. I know now Freeport has some good employees, you know, so some of them that were mentioned, I wasn't here, so I have no comment on them, but you know, the ones that we have now that has taken their place, upstanding employees, doing a great job, Ashley. Now we have applications in for HR. It seems like, you know, looks like they're experienced, has experience in the field. We have applications for assistant city manager with experience in the field. Mr. Reggie Harris has been joined on to the staff with experience. So I think Freeport, is going in the right direction. We got one from Viola over here in the audience, Mr. Javons, hired on for them with experience. I think we're going in the right direction. Sometimes you get what you pay for. And I think that's what's been happening here in Freeport. You get what you pay for. And so now, we're getting experienced employees and representatives for Freeport. We got Dr. Kelly here in as city manager. Experience, once again, that word experience, that's key to success here in Freeport. And that's what we've been lacking. That's what we've been lacking. So I'm just excited for the future. The next council, hopefully we can, come in and be able to agree to disagree and keep an open mind and put Freeport first. You can disagree up here in executive session, but when you go home, look yourself in the mirror and think about it. And keep an open mind, and find the positive, find the good in what you disagreed on at council, instead of just straight looking for the negative, because 5 heads are always better than one. But when we have people that think they're smarter than everybody and smarter than the legal and all of that, you're just going to go round and round. So I just hope that, everybody understand that where I'm weak, you may be strong. Where I'm strong, you may be weak. And we need to put it together, capitalize on that, find out each other's strengths, and capitalize on that, work together. Work together. Just like our new team that's been brought in, like I was saying, Ashley, and the new ones coming in that's about to be hired, Dr. Kelly, and all of them. They're working together, and things are looking brighter inside of City Hall because of that. So we have to support them, and we have to, get our act together, come together. Be held accountable. We're going to all make mistakes. Everybody make mistakes. There's no perfect man in here. He said Jesus was perfect and people still tried to lie on him, humiliated him, crucified him. So it's no perfect. So what makes you think that they're not going to lie on you? It's just time, y'all. Freeport, we have a lot of potential, and we have a lot of work to do. And I think we can do it. I know we can. It's coming. So you have to go through obstacles in life, and then you learn from them, and they make you stronger. What are you going to do when you get knocked down? Are you going to get up, or are you just going to lay down? Well, we're about to get up, and we're about to fight for Freeport. And so if that's not what you want to do, then this may not be for you. So I just want to thank all the new candidates that did apply to run for city council, because as you look around, it's not no long line of people running for city council. So it's going to be head to head, or it's uncontested seats going on. A change about to come, y'all. You have no choice. So I do have a resident church over here on my side of town. So I guess that'll be right off of Mesquite and West Broad. It's going to be at the stop sign, right there at the stop sign. I do have some pictures, Dr. Kelly, I'll be sending you. It was reported to me that they had a church service, and I don't know if it was a member or a guest, an elderly guest, that fell, due to some, uneven and broken pieces on the sidewalk right there at the stop sign. Ambulance was called, and, they want to see if we can get over there and take a look at it and see if we can, get that patched up or leveled out, because it is a church over there, and it's a lot of elderly people in that church, so, walking there, and the cars have to park on the side of the road right there to get to their vehicles. They have to cross that area, so. And it's another spot on 9th Street, but I have to go over there and take a picture of it. And I'll send you the direct address. If you're riding down that 9th Street, the cement, 9th Street is cement, so it's coming up, and it's got like a big piece of cement sticking up. So you have to swerve around that. So it's got to be some kind of way we can get that patched up, dig that out, and, dig a square out and patch that up, because, your cars hit that, tires hit that, so I don't know how I know how they're weaving around it. So it's just that bad, so I'll send you pictures of that too. But once again, thank y'all. God bless you.
Thank you, Councilman. Ward C, Councilman Matamoros.
Thank you, Mayor. First off, I want to thank the city staff, especially within our code enforcement, for what I believe was another successful community cleanup. I participated in that. I did have a little bit of materials that I needed to dispose of, and it was nice and orderly. We didn't take all the trash out. There's still a little bit left in here, but hey, we'll get it out soon. Maybe they'll leave on their own. We have some pretty big issues that are going to be voted on. Early elections started today. There's some positions that are up for election. We also have some items on our charter that need to be amended. So if you're a resident of Freeport, a voting resident, but you don't live in one of the wards that's being up for election, you're still needed to go and vote on these charter amendments. These are all items that we need to take care of to make our charter healthier. As for the election, I did put out a statement last night of who I'm supporting. It is Ms. Nicole Morales. She's been at every meeting. She volunteers for boards. She gets in the middle, gets her hands dirty. See if there's issues she needs to help the city with, she does. She works on that. In my 5 years here that I've been attending as a resident, and then 3 years as a councilman, I have seen Ms. Morales get involved. Person running against her? Not once. Haven't seen him once. There are other issues with that candidate that have been brought forth. There's other issues that if you want to look into, you can, with his dealings with the city. It's not the type of person we want. I know Captain Corruption over there wants him. I know he wants to be able to put him under his thumb like he did Mario and others. He doesn't like me because he knows I can't be put under his thumb. I'm a man.
No, just
I'll
because you
sit up
lie
there. Mayor,
Councilman Pena.
and you assault.
Councilman Pena.
True, Jerry.
he can allege there's no criminal mugshot of me. There is of him, drunk driving under intoxication. He's stated lies that I've lied under oath.
I got the
I
receipts.
haven't been arrested. I mean, I know I can lay my head on my pillow every night and know that what I've done is proper. 3 years ago or just a little over 3 years, when I made the decision to run, I did it for the residents of Freeport, the residents of Ward C. And I thank you residents of Ward C who trusted me with their vote to elect me and put me in this position. It's been a tough 3 years. We didn't get anything accomplished, or we didn't get as much accomplished. We did get some things accomplished. We didn't get as much accomplished because of Captain Corruption over there.
I call out corruption, George. Your corruption.
Councilman Pena.
And Jerry's.
Theft of hotel occupancy taxes.
Thank you. You will be hearing from my lawyer.
Great.
Yeah.
Bring him on.
Slander.
One conversation at a time, and right now, Councilman Matamoros has the floor. We sat here and listened to you, and we expect you to do the same.
The difference is that I don't lie.
We expect you to
We're
do the
allowing
same.
the lies to go on, Jerry.
Proceed, George.
I've got the
Councilman.
receipts on you too, Nicole.
Here we go. Airbnb. This is an actual Airbnb receipt.
Look at the ordinance. Do you know how to read?
Yeah.
Do you know how to read the ordinance?
I do know how to read.
You
Councilman
don't.
Pena.
You're only making my points, George.
Councilman Pena.
I have actual receipts.
No, you have
He
paper.
wants to sue me? Great. He can't afford his lawyers for his other lawsuits in him. He's going to sue me? Come on, bring it. Let's dance. Because I do have actual receipts. Everything that I bring
Is that
up,
a threat again?
I have.
Jerry, I think that was
True.
another threat. Mind you, he was chasing after me here last time.
Yeah. Legal told me I can't kick him out. So Councilman Pena. Councilman Pena. Councilman Matamoros has the floor.
If he's telling truths, I'm okay.
Councilman Matamoros.
But yes, 3 years ago, made the decision to run, was elected. There were things that I wanted to accomplish, was unable to. But I feel comfortable with some of the things that I've pushed through. I've enjoyed my time sitting right here beside Winston, getting to know Winston, and understanding we didn't always agree on our votes, but we kept it civil. Getting to know Mayor Kane. We didn't always agree on our votes, but we kept it civil. There are some very good employees within this city. There are some real good employees that have run away because of the harassment. Second time I've heard that word tonight, harassment. I've made a lot of friends here, made some enemies. There are people that I would gladly help. This city has some very, very good employees. We need to continue as a city to support them.
Nobody believes him.
In this election, it has the chance to move our city forward. Vote for progress. That was mine. We didn't make as much progress as I wanted, but we did make some. With this being our last regularly scheduled meeting, I just wanted to take time, thank the residents, thank those employees within the city for all your hard work, your dedication. I truly appreciate it. I may not have spoken with you, but I truly appreciate your hard work. This isn't goodbye, it's just a see you later. Thank you.
Good riddance.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Rosso, Ward D.
First of all, I'd like to thank all the people that's here tonight and those out in cyber world. I'd like to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to come in and hear us make decisions. I didn't comment on the infrastructure, but I've been in this city all my life. We just had our 55-year, that's 55 years out of high school, Saturday. And so I've seen a lot of things happen in this great city that I love. I love Freeport, and you can't blame me for that. Freeport is 6 feet below sea level. I know some people don't know that. Some people don't remember how it used to flood when it rained, 2 or 3 inches. If you've been here long enough, you remember that. So when we talk about infrastructure, we've improved tremendously. I know some people say they can't flush the toilet, and there's pockets of places, I say pockets, places where the water is hard to drain. I mean, when we get 2 or 3 inches of rain in 1 hour, and we're 6 feet below sea level, what do you expect? You have to be 30 years and younger to think that water can move that fast. It's not going to happen. It's never going to happen. As long as we're 6 feet below sea level, that water is always going to do that. I want to hype the museum trip. We have 20 more seats available to go to Rosenberg and see this railroad museum. All you have to do is be 55 years and older, and you qualify. You register over at the rec center. You don't have to pay a dime to go to the museum, go look around, then go eat a meal, and you don't have to pay any money. The senior citizen are doing good. We're doing real good. Last year we went to the Astros game. Didn't have to pay a dime. We got really good seats. We got off the bus, walked into the stadium, and didn't have to go up or down. We were right there. We got really good tickets. Every year it seems like, thanks to EDC, every year it seems like we get something nice. So if you're 55 years old and you don't have anything to do on the 15th of next month, we're going to be loading up right over there at the rec center here in Freeport. Pass the word around. We got 20 first come, first served seats. and you're invited to come. We'd love to have you. Matter of fact, senior citizens play bingo on Mondays. Play bingo today. They give out nice prizes, plus you get a meal. I mean, what more can you ask for? I also want to hype Riverfest. Get ready for Riverfest. Invite your friends out, come out and be a part of something good. We've been doing that a while, Riverfest. I'd love to see you out there. I'll be out there. I'd love to see you out there at Riverfest. It's nothing like it used to be, but we're still doing it. We're doing it. Riverfest. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman. I too would like to thank everybody that showed up today, and those that are watching at home. I think this is the second meeting in a row that when we started the meeting, we had darn near full house. And tonight it was sprinkling at that time. So that's a good sign. And it really does mean a lot to us to have an audience, someone who is listening, someone who is holding us accountable. I want to remind everybody that today was the first day of early voting. As was mentioned already, we have 4 candidates that are running for 2 seats up here, as well as several charter amendments that are important to the city. So I encourage, even if you're in a ward where you don't have a candidate to vote for, get out and let's vote for the charter amendments. If you are in a ward that you have a candidate to vote for, there's 4 people that would really like for you to come out and vote for them. The city of Freeport, what do we say? We have 10,000 people now. In the last mayoral election, it was 400 votes. It's crazy, but that's the way it was. I'd like to see that trend a little bit differently. This last weekend, Saturday, I went to a downtown vision session put on by Miss Maria Lopez with the Robert Johnson and Reggie Harris were there also. And basically, it was really informative. Each one of them got up and told their expertise as to what it's going to take to revitalize the downtown and get some movement going down there. I feel like we've gotten quite a bit of momentum going our way, and hopefully a plan will be set soon, and we can start seeing some action. That meeting was from 9 to 11, and I got there a little bit early, and I drove by where they were having the citywide cleanup, and the line of trucks and vans and cars and trailers was already 3.5 blocks down the way. At 11 o'clock, whenever we left the museum, I drove back by, and the line was still over 2 blocks away. So my hat's off to the citizens of Freeport for taking this opportunity to clean up some of the junk that we've got laying around, but also to AmeriWaste. Yes, it is in the contract that they are supposed to do this, but when it comes time to do it, they get down here and they take care of business. I would also like to give another shout out to AmeriWaste. The other day I got a phone call from Janelle. Their collectors were collecting the garbage. They emptied a trash can, And lo and behold, they started hearing something in the truck. Someone in the city decided it was a good idea to put a dog in the trash can. Okay, the trash collector noticed it, shut down the operation, made a phone call, 911, and some of Freeport's finest went out there and saved the feller. And I hope, absolutely, I hope we find out who did this so it never happens again. You know, it's a sad day when something like that happens. As Councilman Pena alluded to, he did turn in some more petitions today for the recall. I will not use this agenda to discuss it, okay? But don't mistake my silence as a sign of guilt. There will come a time, and when the time's right, I will set the record straight. Until then, as long as I'm sitting here, I'm going to do what I can to do the best for Freeport. Dr. Kelly?
No, thank you.
Nothing there. All right. So with that being said, it is now 8:33. We are going to close the regular session and move into executive session. Executive session regarding A, Texas Government Code Section 551.071, consultation with attorney over the Covarrubias litigation, and 2, the industrial district, and 3, Vincor X IDA.